Well, welcome everybody. It says that we are live. Yeah, almost 29 seconds ahead of time. Just seeing if everybody was, just hanging out or just saying hello or whatever. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in. So good to see ya. It is Hump Day. I think Nina has her show still, the Hump Day show, and it's Wednesday. It could be the beginning of a week, could be the end of the week, but we have been told that it is the middle of the week. So welcome everybody. Favor be upon us all. It's like sticking your finger in honey. That's the type of favor because it just coats everything. Besides that, it's good for you and it tastes good. So welcome everybody in the chat room. Hey, James, Bright, how you doing? Okay, I'll turn this off. All right. So the spirits are active. I was seeing just, what the vibe was before going live. And yeah, it's active. So welcome, everybody. Hey, moderators. Thank you. I don't thank you enough. Danny, how are you? Good to see. And greetings. Bonnie, how are you? Thank you. We got something that Bonnie sent, one of her documents. Pretty cool. David Castle, how are you? And Rufus, Lost in Space. Peace. May you live long. Heck, you're going to live anyway. So long is just a perception, right? Good to see you, my friend. Go. Hello. Eldeberry. What's up? Deborah, let's see. Ginger, how you doing? Lauren, just the name alone, just invokes this feeling of peace. It's like walking in a valley of, down in Texas, right in March, they have the blue bonnets, and then they have the Indian paintbrushes that just in years where it rains, it's just quite beautiful. It's just serene. You got this sea of this blue, almost, periwinkle, and other fields, you just have them in the reds and the oranges. Anyway, that's kind of day I feel like. DC, what's up? Good day to you, sir. Let's see what else is happening. Mike, good to see you. Let's see. Brandon, how are you? You're in Chicago. Wow. Your friend is throwing the first pitch, so took a break. Wow, fantastic. Well, have fun at that. It's really kind of fun to really attend a baseball game. When I lived in St. Louis, used to do it. Never have done it here at the Rockies, but have fun, Brandon. With everything in the market today and what have you, you got to have fun. I mean, it's like surfing. If you're going to catch the wave, eventually you're going to have to ride the wave down, right? Anyway, thank you, Brandon. Much love to you up there in Chicago. Belanca, how are you, my dear? Good to see you, Loretta. Here we're going over birth certificates. Yeah, it's so weird. Well, actually, it's not, because, there's a lot of turmoil right now. I just got to tell you, the financial markets are in Twitter. I guess that's a term that we used to use back in the day. But yeah. So, remember, it's always the economy. Interesting thing about modern thinking. You think about the grocery store. I mean, that's a relatively new phenomenon. When you think about air conditioning, being able to, build commercial coolers and freezers, it changed everything for food. I mean, it opened up a world, a reality where food used to be a pretty scarce commodity to where it became taken for granted. Yeah. So things will be changing. And remember, money, notes, bonds, it's all us. Kind of getting into that. Let's see what else. Gilbert is having surgery today. So Gilbert, buddy, Steve, wrote me, Steve Bowe, we talked last week about his prostate surgery, gave me an update and said that he is healing up, baby. Said even his doctor was surprised. That's pretty cool. I mean, it really is. It's that attitude of gratitude, folks. That's what it is. Robert V is in the house. How you doing, Robert? Good to see you, my friend. Love the shows you're putting out. I missed that, Danny. I was going to look at one of your comments. It went boop. Hey, Dave Sullivan. Already hit the thumbs up. Thank you several times. Yeah, well, go ahead, hit it some more. I mean, that's the idea. We feed the algorithm, right? So do you know what today is? Peter, ain't that the truth? Now, it's interesting because we are electromagnetic beings. I mean, like birds and everything else in this world, we have an orientation to, magnetic poles, north, south. We're influenced by radio waves, television. I mean, right now, as you and I are sitting here conversing through a medium, what used to be the Ethernet, then they went inside and called it the internet. There is energy waves. Right now, if my brain was capable, and it is, so is yours, we could tune in to every radio station that's within our proximity of receiving television. We could pick up on government communications, top secret I better not talk about that shit. Let's rewind that. You think about everything that you could potentially pick up. And it's true. I mean, every one of us emit an electrical signal. This box I have over here, apparently, when we go on the other side, who knew? We actually emit an energy waveform. I was trying to think of another term, a field, probably that. Hey, Lori, what's up? Good to see you. Paul Joe, hello. What? So, I mean, it's weird, isn't it? I mean, if we could pick it up right now, I mean, our brains would be, wow. And we should be able to do that. I've talked about it before. If we are as old of a species as they say, and if we just take the moderate road on this, so let's say 200,000 years. You would think in 2,100 years that we would be far more developed than what our ancestors were. And our ancestors were pretty smart. They were not what sometimes people think. But anyway, getting back to what today is, do you know today is the fastest day ever? Yep. Yesterday set the record, but according to Ben and he showed the charts, we know it. Today is tracking to be the fastest day ever. And I don't know about you. I was writing to Rennie. Much love to you, dear. Thank you for the birthday present. Yeah, Rennie sends me something every year, and it's like I told her today. I said it wouldn't be a birthday, but anyway. So is it just me? And I don't think it is, because literally the days are getting shorter. Wasn't there a book that predicted something like that the days would grow shorter? So I'm about to eclipse another lap around the sun. And I can tell you, we've gone through a half a year. And it's like I was telling Rennie, I said, it's like a month is now becoming a week. A week feels like a day. And there are days that feel like an hour. And I know it just can't be me. I mean, there's just no way. It has to be other people. Grace, every day flies by for me. Yeah. And it's not the perception of, it's the fact that as we all age, that I've heard this from people that are in their 30s. I've heard it from people in their 20s. They perceive things speeding up. I mean, yeah, we all remember what it was like to be a kid. I mean, you couldn't wait for Christmas, the last day of school, your birthday, those are the type of things. And someone said, well, but they seem to have taken forever. I don't know. Looking back, I'm going, maybe, not sure. But I'm telling you, it's speeding up. I'm just trying to read some of the comments. So something's up. So change. How do you handle change? Do you handle it good? Do you perceive change as a threat, an upsetting of patterns? Yeah. So anyway, in preparing things here, I was going through my stuff. We all got stuff, right? I have my portfolio that I kept through my entire career, and as well as my creative drawing. And I came across a book I hadn't seen, folks. I guess it's been 15 years. So one of my earlier works, how about this? Give it to where everyone can see it. I love mandalas. And by the way, they are a great therapy. If you really are into focusing in thought to, manifestation. Here is another one. How about that one, huh? Does it give you the effect? Very interesting where your mind goes through these things. It's like, okay, yeah. Here's one I didn't finish, but I'm going to have to. What I thought was interesting again. How many of you do mandalas? If you do, send me a picture of it. Love to show them. Gives you an idea of, they say it's a great indicator of what's inside of you. You don't know. One more. And so I enjoy them. Yeah. And, so this is just hanging out at the water cooler. In 99, I was in New York, went up there for an investment conference subsequently. And in fact, this print behind me I actually bought it at the Guggenheim. How many of you have ever been to the Guggenheim? It's a fabulous museum. If you like art museums, the Guggenheim is definitely a place. So many films have been filmed in there. It's the museum that has the spiral as you walk up into each floor. And lo and behold, and I did not know this, but it's actually become a collector's item of sort. I had this calendar from the Guggenheim, still in the plastic, the saran wrap, as they would say, from the year 2000. So where were you? And in fact, it's really odd because it's almost 20 years to the date. Actually, a friend of mine and we actually rented out a helicopter and had the helicopter. We just wanted to be two of us. And I sat in the front, he sat in the back, and got some great shots of the World Trade Centers back in the day. And anyway, yeah, Where were y'all 20 years ago, 22 years ago? Mandy, how you doing? Yeah, isn't it? It's a beautiful building, and you can really just get lost in it. I love looking at art. It has the energy of the spirit being that did those works. I've told this story before back in my days when I was in the video duplication industry. One of my clients was the Smithsonian, and knew the curator, Bob Decker, back in the day, and got to go up there. It was part of the contract, that he either came down to the plant outside of Knoxville, or I had to go up there and meet with his people right there. And it's so cool. Right there in, I believe this one is the Air Museum. There is also the offices. Anyway, so Bob really liked me. I really liked Bob. Bob was a cool guy. He really was. And he knew I had this penchant for art. Just love art. I've shown you the thing that, and I tell you, when you look at this, this is Kayla's, just beautiful. This would be something I would think about seeing. But anyway, so Bob arranged it so that I got to go into the Museum of Natural History and Art. And it was cool. When you get into the National Gallery of Art, particularly, I was the only one in there. Well, the guards were in there, and they would come walking by. I got in there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the museum doesn't open till 9. So he said, have fun with it. And I did. So I digress. Grace says, 20 years ago, I was in Australia raising children. Grace, how cool is that? Who would have thought? Thanks for letting me know. 22. James says, Yosley says, 22 years ago, I was working with Mike Norris, making stainless steel Damascus for custom. Is that right? How cool is that? You ought to put a link in there. Let us, I'd love to see your work. Do you ever get in on Forged and Fire? I mean, that is so cool. What else? Loretta says, I've been raising kids since 1990. My wife and I were talking today about the fact that in so many ways, because it was really cold here this morning in Colorado, here in Denver, outside. And, I said, something I always wondered as a kid. I did. And how about the rest of y'all? Is it just me again? But I never understood why girls had to wear skirts. And particularly if you lived where I did for a while, where it was cold. I mean, in St. Louis, it got cold in the wintertime. And I thought to myself, and my wife said, it's interesting that you say that. She said, now when she was going through school, they didn't have leggings. Pants were very frowned upon by social standards. So she would wear pants to school, but they had to take the pants off and then wear the skirts. And I said, well, didn't your legs get cold? I mean, my legs got cold and I had pants on. She said, yeah. And I thought to myself, and I told her, I said, hon, I said, this is so indicative of the masculine poisoning that permeates everything about our culture. That our culture, basically because of a perverse perspective, I guess, that somehow girls have to wear skirts, and boys have to wear pants, that no one takes about the fact. And my wife told me she actually would break out with hives. Her legs get so cold. And I'm sure that she wasn't the only one. Anyway, it just goes to show you, Burnett says we wore knickers under our skirts. Yeah. Now, did you go to Catholic school? it's interesting because, the Catholics were also now as Lynn's, back in the day when, corporal punishment was still allowed in schools. Yes, I did get my butt paddled, not once, but twice. Yeah. Bonnie says, yeah, women have been oppressed for a long time. It's a fact. It really is. Yeah. What can I say? And we call this thing normal, right? Yeah. I don't even know what normal is. I mean, time isn't even normal anymore. So Kim, it's interesting because I was at the same age, that in fact, I participated in a couple of walkouts at our school. Got suspended, but that was cool too. We just all hung out. It's like, sure, go ahead. Suspend us. Like, that's really going to make a true, any of impression upon us. It did. It said it worked. That's if they would have just simply let us have gone back into class and, not even paid any attention about, they called the damn cops. Anyway, it showed us that, well, it does get a response, isn't that? Hey, Rod, what's up? Lingle, good to see you. Boy, I haven't seen you in a long time, my friend. Good to see you. Wow. Greetings and favor. Hey, Constance, they molded every aspect of our lives. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. Kim lived in New York. Yeah. Well, it would have been a little bit more liberal. I was down in the South. Houston, Texas, to be exact. And I can tell you, in the year 1969, going into 1970, long hair was definitely frowned upon. Anything below the ear was considered to be, a hippie. Hey, Isby, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. Prosperity and love to you as well. Brings back some hellacious memories, doesn't it? Ba-da-da-dum. So, yep. That's actually, hey, New Yoda, what's up? Magical robes for magical gifts. I kind of like that. I have no idea what that's in reference to, but yeah, Joyce, those were the days, my friend, we thought would never end. Youth. It's like that Kevin Costner movie. Did you see that? Fandango. Yeah, it's how many of you remember that movie? It's a great movie. It's it was, I think it's become a cult favorite now, but that is so typical of what that movie represented, that moment in time where you feel your time has come, right? And now you're free to go into the world. It's a magical time. There's no doubt about it. Wow. Yeah. So anyway, I can dig that. The feminine look. Yeah. I think it's a great thing about being a woman, a female, is that, fashion. I, back in my day, dated a gal who actually coordinated fashion shows, and got invited to one there in New York City, and it was it's down in the Soho district. Anyway, I digress. Constance, it is. It's something is to be proud about being a woman. There is in a lot of ways that from a male perspective that, I really think that being a male, we got the short end of the deal, the stick, as they would say, because, we've covered enough on this channel. I'll stop because standards change so quickly. Like, oh, put on the brake, man. Bonnie modeled, you modeled in your, wow. Okay, cool. Love to see some of your shots. Yeah. Hey, Janie, what's up? Good to see you, darling. Um, Coat of many colors, they called me Patches or Vampire Girl. That's interesting, Danny. Um, so was the coat, was it fabric or leather or a part of that? How was that? Because there was another person I remember that she had a coat like that. Constance says, when God made a female, he said, woman, ain't that the truth? Yeah, moderators, go ahead and prove that, man. Hit that. That's the truth. Did runway modeling for Bullocks and Macy's, and wow, that's great. That would be cool. You know, you ladies that did the modeling, come and do a show with me. We'll do a show on that. It's an interesting thing. I look at it from if someone was looking in at the human species, the Homo sapiens, and it's really interesting because it's been lost. I mean, today things are they're so divisive, but fashion, I love fashion. In my youth, yeah, even when I worked with Concerts West, fashion was important. How you looked, carrying the speakers and, all the rest of the crap that goes onto the stage. You just took your shirts off for that, but yeah, fashion was important. Joy said you danced in the Boston Ballet, the Nutcracker. How cool is that? When I lived in Knoxville, Tennessee, I had a client, the Tennessee Children's Dance Ensemble, and did a lot of work for them, gratis work. And I was amazed at the talent of the young ladies that as young as, I think that to be part of the children's dance ensemble, I think it was 7. I think 7 was, the beginning. But wow, yeah. Anyway, that is so cool, Joyce. Absolutely cool. See, I love hearing these stories, Loretta, because this is what identifies a community, a group, a family. We get to learn a little bit more about y'all instead of a little less about me. That's the thing. But Joyce, that is so cool. Now, every time I'm going to see the Nutcracker, and I do like to watch it once a year, I'm going to think of you, my dear. That is just so cool. Ah, ballet. That is an expression, isn't it? I mean, the discipline for ballet is remarkable. Because it really becomes a true passion. Yeah. Wow, this was, and Jargo says, well, we were smoking in the girls' room too. Yeah. Weren't we all? I wasn't in the girls' room, we weren't allowed there, but folks, this was not what I was actually planning to talk about, but I love it. Now I'm thinking of Brownsville Station, smoking in the boys' room. Love this group of people. Just love y'all to death. Look at that. All right, let's cover some material here. This is funny, but well, I thank y'all for sharing those memories. I don't a lot of times read the chat that detailed, but I'm glad I have. It's wow, what a diverse group here. Such creative beings. Wow. I'm still just blown away by this. I'm just wow. Okay. Let's yeah, in the parking lot. Yeah, and it's odd that you mentioned that, because pot back then, it had a different smell. It did, and it had a different taste, if you ask me. The stuff that they sell today, and here in Colorado, where it's legal and recreational, as I think 27 other states are, it's a science now. I mean, back then we were just looking to get, I guess that's what they're doing today, just get a different perspective on reality, right? Yeah. All right. Scotty boy, we got our dancers and we got our smokers. Sounds like a Joe Walsh album, Yes, we got the ballet dancers with the smokers that you get. It sounds to me kind of like that. And you know what? I loved it. Hello there, dirty, filthy money. I love my youth. When I exit this realm, I mean, going to have a smile on my face. I mean, I got to grow up in a time, I have said this time and time again, but am I ever so grateful for? I was homeless, didn't have a place to stay, and no one really gave a rat ass about me. I was 15 years old, and I remember those first couple of days, man, But it's amazing how the human spirit can adapt, and I was loving it. I mean, wouldn't have it any other way. So let's you almost get that contact high, don't y'all? Hey, Ruby, what's up? Good to see you, Darylyn. Lori, good to see you. All right. I was carried back to a time. Wow. I have to tell this story. So the last year that I was allowed in school, I was at a school, high school there in Houston called Robert E. Lee. And it was the first time, because we hung out outside. We didn't go inside the bathrooms because, just wasn't cool. But anyway, as he says, I remember I was standing there talking to someone, and it was because I was living in a foster home at the time. I remember that. Yeah. And I remember it was the first time I actually saw a large quantity of weed. And this guy was happening to be selling lids for $10. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. I thought that, you get those memories that come in, and you're back in time. You're right back there. It's like, I remember standing, I can tell you exactly, it was, about 7:50 in the morning, and, homeroom hadn't started yet. Y'all remember, maybe it's just me. Jules says, story time with Wayne. It was not supposed to be, and it's not going to end up that way. But yeah. And the thing about it is, I think about this as I look back, we had a whole freaking decade of some of the fucking best music ever. I don't care what anyone says, the 70s. It was the accumulation of going from the 50s and 60s, and it was the launching pad that launched us into the 80s and the 90s. But the music in the 70s was undoubtedly, they can't produce it anymore. They can't replicate it anymore. It was a time that our species, I don't know if we can ever tap into that energy again. It's vacant. The music industry, I still have some friends that are, although they're up there in age, still have their fingers into it, and it is what they lament. There's no talent. No one writes anymore. No one really actually, as one guy I was talking to and was saying that they don't study music. It's like it's supposed to be, anyway. And the 70s sucked. I got to tell you, from an economic standpoint, I mean, we were so screwed. We had a monetary system that wasn't a fiat system. It was still backed by gold. You could buy gold for an ounce back then at $35 an ounce. I mean, actually, technically, it was less than that. And then Nixon came and, illegally took us off the gold standard. And and then I remember the oil embargo, and, it just sucked in a lot of ways. But yet, in the midst of all that, I don't know about y'all, but I found a lot of love, a lot of rock and roll, and a few other sundries, as they would say. Kim, New York City was filthy and dangerous, but it was so much fun. Isn't it the truth? I mean, I grew up on the street in Houston, in the Montrose area. And I had a friend, John Scott. John Scott turned into an armadillo one time when him and we dropped a lot of acid together. And I remember we dropped some window pane. And I still remember the street where it happened at. And I'm talking to him, and he literally, his face turns into this armadillo face. I mean, yes, but you know what? The point was, that was like at 2:00 in the morning, and, we never got harassed. Maybe it was the fact that we were in the cool part of the city. I don't know. Gaza, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. It's interesting. Had this conversation. Princess Funk, what do you know? The Club 1514 habitat on? Yes. Now I'm asking 3 questions here. Well, Penegreek, thank you. But the discussion was the fact that, we went in trying to listen today, because today it's this shake and bake, and when AI, do you know that I didn't realize, but Sony Records, I think it's Warner Brothers, maybe the other one, they actually have AI programs that write music. And I was talking to this friend of mine, and I said, so what the freak? I mean, if we're getting to this point now, I remember the day of techno, electric techno, kind of cool, but I wouldn't call it actually. Well, all right, then maybe I'm probably limiting myself, because I was trained in music. 5th grade, started learning to play the clarinet. 6th grade, still taking lessons. 7th grade, actually got to try out for the band, and made the orchestra band. And Bonnie, I loved acid of all kinds. Ain't that the truth? I never had a bad trip. I got to tell you what, never did. Violence of life. Yeah. Techno, it was a lot of fun to dance to. It was great cardio. I just got it. But then again, I love disco. I mean, to me, I liked disco. It was fun. I got laid a lot. I mean, it was fun. And if back in the day, as Bob Seger was like a rock, I mean, our bodies were like a rock. Working construction and what have you, but you got out there, and as y'all all know, because there were plenty of ladies, and choice mushrooms. Now I know about that too. Oh my goodness. Jewel says, never had a bad trip either. Yeah, I mean, I never did. This was not supposed to be the discussion today. I mean, the title, I'm going to have to change it. But yeah. That, but Randy, it is true because that's what techno reminded me more of. It was the evolution of disco, and and it seemed like a seamless one at that. I mean, yeah, so I can actually see that as well. And the women really dressed up good. Dave, so here's a question for you. And I went to a lot of the discos. So what was the number one perfume that a lot of women were wearing back then? I called them chicks, but anyway, dudettes. Does anyone know? I do. How many of you remember Charlie? Yeah, I can still smell that. Fishnet stocking, Cindy Meyer. Joyce, it's interesting when you mentioned that. That was the first time I actually think I saw a girl's thigh. Anyway, yeah. See, everyone, Missy, you got it. Grace, yep, Scotty boy. See, y'all did it. And you can smell it, can't you? You really can. It's like, yeah, I can still smell that. This group, I'm telling you, Chanel number 9, isn't that interesting? Because that was the gift that, if you really wanted to show someone, right, that, like, hey, babe, I'm really into you. You buy the Chanel number 9. Mm-hmm. Ay, ay, ay. Well, this was not on the menu. That was for sure. Hey, Suzanne, good to see you, darling. I have a sense that Missy says your mom wore it. Okay, yeah. There you go. And your mom was probably really hot too. I'm just saying, Of course, I'm going back way back when, but yeah. Yes. Boom, boom, boom. And Polo. Can y'all remember that as well? And Artemis was another one. Yeah. Hip hungers and bell-bottom jeans. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. I think we probably needed this. I mean, I'm just going with the flow. And and I look back, and a lot of the people I've known have just gone off into the cosmos. I mean, I trust they had a good life. It's kind of like the interview John Lennon did with Dick Cavett. He's like, when you meet on the other side, how was your life? Did it turn out the way you wanted? Did you accomplish what you came to do? But anyway, exactly what everyone wanted to hear. Your mom is hot. Well, it's true. It's absolutely true. I mean, I saw a picture of a guy that I knew back in the day, man. And when I looked at where he is at and I was going, wow, it's interesting how people age, because we all age. It happens to us every day. Some just, age differently. But yeah, I guess it's the ones, I don't know. Is there really a trueness to the fact that there really is a hippie spirit? I was called a hippie for so long, and I wore it as a badge of honor. In fact, I had an old military fatigue jacket that actually had a little sticker on there called the Hippies of America Unite. But I often wonder if that exists, in a lot of us. I think it does. So I was telling my wife, I said, I have no doubt that of the ladies that I have known and have had the privilege of exchanging energy with, that's how they always will be. They've never aged in my mind. And subsequently, as she pointed out to me, neither have I. Kind of cool, isn't it? So, yeah, your mom's hot because that's how I remembered her. All right. Oh, man. Was not going down any of this. Johnny D says, I certainly needed this. I lost 3 people close to me in the last few weeks. Yeah, a lot of people are transitioning, including my 28-year-old little cousin who shared my name. So I seriously needed some let go and relax time. Well, I'm glad we could put the smile on there because they're still here. There's just that veil, Johnny, and it is interesting, because the other thing is, what was it? They interviewed the one woman in Russia at that time. I think she was 126, or supposedly, I don't know. But anyway, they asked her, did she find a blessing in longevity of life? And she says it's a curse. And I've heard that from a couple of other centurions that, it's a curse. What movie was that? Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn and Bruce Willis. Death Becomes Her. How the myth is, the conspiracy that the elite have the fountain of youth drug, that they never really die. They fake their death, and then they have to basically recede out for at least 20 years, maybe a little bit longer, and then they come back in. Anyway, that's what the movie was predicated on. And the fact is that the problem was, and the scene in the movie was, you live long enough, most people around you are going to die. They're going to transcend. And yeah. So how do y'all think about that? Pengrady said, yeah, my great grandmother was 102 and saw some of her kids die. She wanted out so badly. It's odd that you mentioned that, Pengrady. It's like, it's interesting because I told you when Trina and I were on yesterday, it's like the awareness is that I know I'm in this body. I'm not this body. And I can see that, the longevity of life. So I don't know, is longevity really what it's cracked up to be? I mean, I guess if I could stay at my peak and keep that going on, I mean, great condition still, but that requires a lot more effort. And it does. As you continue to go down the path of life, what I could do easily with 100 reps is, a little bit more of a strain today. I don't know. Do you think that just a little hippie taking a little trip? And I like that. Yeah. And in fact, I'll share this with you. The individual I was talking to said to me, he says, Wayne, he says, he said, I know. And he was kind of shocked. And he says, but it's almost like you haven't really aged, dude. He says your mannerisms, and he stopped and he literally stopped and he said, or is it that I've just become old? And I said, David, age is really perception. I said, we never age inside. I don't know, but if you cross over, how is it that there are children on the other side? Are there really children ghosts? Are there really old ghosts? Are there really young ghosts? I don't understand this process. I mean, is it like what Morpheus said to Neo, that what you really see is what your projection is, the inner self-image of yourself? Do you see yourself as old? Do you see yourself, even though you may have gray hair, a little bit less hair? How do you see yourself? I still see myself. it's odd because I said to my friend, I said, I haven't aged. I won't. I'm enjoying the ride of feeling what age feels like, but I never age. I just don't. I don't think any of us do, but that's just my opinion. I'm 52 and still wear hot pants. You see? And I bet they look good. Hey, it's true. I mean, you look at pictures of Christy Brinkley. What does that woman got? I mean, wow. It's just like, I don't know how she does it. And there are others that have that ability to retain that look. I mean, yeah. Robert Downey Jr. carried it for a long time. And yeah. Dave says, I always wanted to see God when I was tripping, but some people claimed, but a trip with him, and I saw God when I was tripping. Yeah. He's, good looking dude. It was me. Miss B Awakens say, we're only as old as you feel. My grandson keeps me young. Yeah. It really is true. But eventually the transition does take place, doesn't it? Now, well, we'll just have a good time as we're still sitting here. I love this group. Deborah says, I saw Christ tripping. Now, it's really interesting because I told y'all I worked at this. It was funded by United Way. It was right there in the Montrose area, right off California. And they had this house. And so it was open 24 hours. And I worked, from like midnight till 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. sometimes. Anyway, it was where people, if they were having a bad trip, they could come in, and we've talked about this before, but yeah, the number one thing that most people saw, particularly, was Jesus. It was weird. Yeah, it could have been just the air at the time. I mean, remember, folks, y'all, how many of you who used to go to concerts, and I remember the free concerts that we used to go at People's Park, the Children of God. And then, the Hare Krishna people. I really dug the Hare Krishna people. I got to tell you, I was one of the guys that had the long hair. I was smoking a joint because, where they always would show up was typically where there were people, like airports or bus terminals, or sometimes, out on the greens of a concert. But they were cool people. I mean, they got that chanting rhythm, and the mantras were really interesting. Is it just me or what? Come on. No one else. Did y'all not experience that? I mean, you had to have. I mean, I know in Houston, I mean, it was it was a happening place, but yeah, I mean, the free sandwiches. That's all, that's all I got to say. My spirit and my mind has not aged. Unfortunately, yes. Who was that, dear? Who was saying that? Little Red Haze. Yeah, it is true, because you do feel it. It's like someone told me once, you just get tired. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people. They just get tired, right? Griffin Park. Oh, really? Okay, cool. There we go. Heard of Nimba, another great one advertised. Now, I don't even know what that is about. Let's see. Bridget says the Buddhists did a beautiful chant when they used to make the mandalas. Yeah. I mean, and I guess, and it took 50 years of going through a religion that, you really become really biased in so many ways. Then it sucks. But it's the proverb says, train a child in the way they should go, and when they get old, they will not depart that way. I told my wife, I said, well, hon, I said, if you look at the way that I grew up, I said, this is the only way I could have turned out. You have to be open-minded. It's what allowed me to prosper. I didn't survive the streets. I thrived the streets. Being on the streets and homeless as a kid was never a problem. I mean, and there were many of people like me. We did thrive. Yeah. So here we are. And isn't it interesting that I see so often, and even some of the YouTube channels out there, that this generation, I'll be 67 on Sunday. I don't feel 67. The reality of it is that when I look in the last decade to realize that in the next 10 years, I will be, oh my goodness, 76. But at 67, I don't see myself any different than when I was 26. Even the suit is really done a remarkable job of renewing itself. And I'm going, okay. So I don't know. But maybe it is that hippie, because I was an impression. That's what reality was for me. I saw the counterculture. I was the counterculture. So were y'all. A lot of you are out within my age. You know it. Now, I was out there a little bit early before most of my age. I mean, most of the kids that I was supposed to have been in school with, they were in school. They had a home, they had parents. I didn't. I was on the street. And, but you know what? I learned to craft, really became good at cooking, was really good at selling drugs. I mean, I was really good at it. Sold a lot of marijuana, sold a lot of LSD, a lot of mescaline. But you know what? It was a high profit margin enterprise. And at the age of 16, didn't take me long to figure that out. I could buy something and then mark it up 50%. Not bad. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, I mean, seriously, and those of you who grew up in Houston, Texas in that time, in the Montrose area, right there at the corner of Montrose and Westheimer, every Tuesday we were out selling the Liberty newspaper. Buy them for 15 cents. You could sell them for 25. But the reason why we did it, because we owned the corner, was that we weren't just selling the newspaper. Yeah, we were selling our form of our way of perceiving the world. Okay, well, I didn't even get into the topic. I'll have to pick this up tomorrow. I'll have to say part 2, because we didn't even get close to this, and we really need to. I mean, it's relevant, but holy crap! Actually, Marie, I do use a product. Yeah. Email me and I'll tell you. It works. It does. It really does. Bridget says the Montrose area is the art district. It doesn't surprise me about that, Bridget. Thank you, by the way. I didn't realize you were in Houston. Shannon, how are you doing? It was the enhanced news. I never thought about it that way. We were definitely y'all crack me up, man. All right. I heard you could get. Now, we never had ecstasy. I didn't know what that was. It was after my time. So anyway, I could use that product too. Well, just email me and I'll let you know. But it does. Dance on Waves, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Well, we laugh a lot. we sometimes end up going down, a different circuitous route, but hey, we always end up in our destination. We laugh a lot, and we shed a few tears. They're always happy tears, but yeah. I see. Okay. Yes, it was. Yes, Shannon, it was. It really was. Yeah, I just got to tell you, on those Tuesday afternoons, we would hit the corner because they would sell the papers, let them out at about 2:00. We would then hightail it back to where we were going to be at. We sold a lot of product, a lot of product. Yeah. And it was quite amazing how many cops always passed by, and they just thought we were selling newspapers, and it hassle us. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on. Well, Little Red Haze, you had to eat, it's, teenagers, but yeah, anyway. Yeah, our Crumb, Mr. Natural, loved his comics, a little expressive, but hey, I never had a problem with nudity anyway. All right, Joyce says, I probably was a buyer. If our youth could continue, huh? All right, folks, have yourself just a fabulous hump day. Check Nina out over there and love each other, love yourselves, and thank you all. We'll get to the birth certificate tomorrow. I mean, I had this whole thing lined out, but hey, we went with the way that the spirit flows. That's all I got to say. Thank all of you. I appreciate you. Make my day. You put a smile on my face, and you certainly edify me up. You lift my spirit up, and that's not a bad place to be. So thank you all, and much love to you, and we'll see you tomorrow. All right. Peace out. Now I'm going to go listen to some music.